Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. And I'm so excited to welcome you at the first interview in English because I know those who have been following me and these interviews with interesting women who have partner from abroad. You know, I have been doing these interviews in Czech, but today it's the first time we are having it in English. And I am so excited to welcome Anna, who is from Czech Republic, but she's in Mexico right now. Hi, Ani, and welcome so much, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Hello, and thank you very much. That's really nice that I'm invited to this short interview. I really look forward to it so we can share our experiences. So I really look forward to your questions, definitely.
Yeah, and because these interviews are with women about their partners who are from different country. And before I ask you my first question, would you like to tell us something more about yourself so we get to know you a bit better?
Yes, definitely. I can tell you a little bit more. So, as you said, my name is Anna. I am right now 25 years old and I've been living almost 3 years in Mexico, sometimes in the Czech Republic, but mostly in Mexico because my partner is from Mexico. He's Mexican. And I am basically living here and working. My job is maybe interesting to you because I am a teacher and I teach Czech to foreigners, which is a little bit funny. So you may think that if my partner is speaking Czech, and no, he's not speaking Czech, not yet. But it's really beautiful job because I'm working online, so it gives me like freedom, so I can work from anywhere. So for that, I'm living in Mexico right now.
Yeah, that sounds so exciting, and I'm sure we are all curious to learn about you, about your partner, about your life in Mexico. But my first question would be, how did you meet?
That's a good question, and I was expecting this question to be the first one. And yes, we met here in Mexico when I arrived to Mexico, which was more or less 3 years ago. At the time, I was still studying at the university. I was studying my master degree in Ostrava, in Czech Republic, and I went to an exchange program to Mexico for 1 semester. And I met my boyfriend. Well, I could actually say my future husband because we just got engaged a few
Oh,
weeks ago.
congratulations!
Yes, so we met here in Mexico. And the funny fact about this is that my boyfriend was actually the first Mexican person that I talked to. My first day, I talked to him. He was completely the first person because when I arrived here, I was looking for accommodation as a student, and I lived in different houses with other international students. And basically, my boyfriend was the person who picked me up the first day, who gave me the keys from my room, and I was paying the rent to him. So that's how we met actually. And like later, it developed to our relationship, but it was later. So that's how we met.
Hmm. And this is quite exciting because my question was you partially answer it like how did you get to Mexico and how is life there? Because we often hear the negative things about Mexico, and then people might think, what is this young lady? How she's managing to live in Mexico? So
Yeah.
how is it there?
Yes, I understand. You're right. Like before coming to Mexico, I didn't know nothing about this country. Maybe like most of the things that people from Czech Republic think on, like the negative things. And why I went to Mexico? Well, at that time, like 3 years ago, I really wanted to learn Spanish. Was like one of my really like personal goals. I was in Spain before, but I really didn't like had much opportunity. So before we had a lot of programs in my university, I decided to pick up some country, which is like Spanish speaking country. And my goal was to go alone there because I was thinking that if I will go alone, I will be forced to integrate and to learn the language. So I chose Mexico because I was thinking that nobody wants to go to Mexico. So I was thinking that I will be the only one, and was right. I was the only one. And for that, I came to Mexico. That was the reason, like to learn Spanish and to go alone somewhere. So yeah, that was the first like main reason.
Yeah, I completely feel you because I had the same thinking when I wanted to learn English. I just packed my bags and I traveled by truck to Sweden alone. And
Wow.
then I had my English from the high school and I was not able to speak. And suddenly I was in the middle of Sweden at the petrol station and I had to start speaking. So I think this
That's
strategy of
it.
going to the country when where you don't expect to find a fellow group of 20 other Czech people, it was perfect for you
Yes.
to get what you wanted. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You're completely right. Yeah, that was my reason. And it worked because now I speak Spanish.
And it's actually kind of exciting. I love this mixture of languages because you say you live in Mexico, you speak Spanish now on everyday basis. We are doing this interview in English, which it's not our mother tongue as well. And then we are both Czech, so I love this mixture and how different couples from around the world are probably experiencing the same.
Yeah, definitely. Like right now, I feel comfortable like speaking probably like in any of these languages, and I'm so happy for that because there are maybe so many other people who would like to be fluent in some language, and if you live in another country, sometimes it's just so easy. Sometimes you are just so forced to learn it that you do it, right?
And talking about the languages, so you said you met your future boyfriend at the time, now future husband, the first day you arrived. Like, how did you speak? Did you speak Spanish or did he know English? How was it
Uh-huh.
language-wise in the
We
beginning?
spoke in English, but he can speak English. My boyfriend speaks well Spanish. This is his mother tongue, and English. His English is like pretty good as well. And yes, we spoke English because when I arrived to Mexico, I knew some Spanish phrases. Like for example, was able to order coffee, but I couldn't definitely have a conversation in Spanish.
Mhm.
So we spoke English for maybe the first year actually
Mhm.
together. And after some time, when I was more confident in Spanish, and this may be interesting because we really started to speak in English, but then we switched to Spanish. So now we speak mostly in Spanish together, sometimes in English when we are with other people who don't understand Spanish. So we switch to English and we are kind of like communicating in these two languages. But I think that right now, mostly Spanish. And before it
Yeah.
was mostly English. Yeah.
And exactly, this was the exact thing which I wanted to ask you because I know lots of couples, they have this challenge. They start to speak in, usually it's English because it's the common
Mm-hmm.
language and it's not mother
Exactly.
tongue of any of the two. And then they have great difficulties to switch to the other language, to the mother tongue of one
Mm-hmm.
of them. So how did you manage? And maybe if you have some recommendation how to make it easier, because I know of lots of couples who would like to switch, but they are
Uh-huh.
still stuck in the first language
Yeah.
they when they met.
I definitely understand. Usually, like the first language that you start talking with someone is like the language that you will always use. Maybe it's because we live in Mexico, so everything is in Spanish around us.
Mm.
So I'm kind of forced. I was forced to learn the Spanish to be able to survive. Let's say, okay, here. But how we switched to Spanish? It was like a wish of my boyfriend. He told me many times that he didn't feel so confident in English, but I think that his English is very good actually. But he was always telling me, okay, I would like to tell you more about like what I think, what I feel, but I think that I can express myself better in Spanish. So I said, okay, just talk to me in Spanish. And basically it was me like who really like forced, like I forced myself to switch to another language. So I think that probably like one of the partners like has to try a little bit more to get used to another language. But I have to say that it's not like always Spanish. Sometimes when I have to say something more complicated and I'm not maybe sure about the grammar, the correct grammar in Spanish, I say it in English. But
Mm.
yes, it was kind of like I really forced myself, and I had a lot of classes of Spanish. I was literally learning a lot. I would say one like last year maybe. So it was difficult, but at the end, it's okay. And I think that what can help also, it's like to surround yourself with one language. So
Mm.
having, let's say, people around you speaking the language, just doing the basic stuffs in one language. That's
Mm.
is like the biggest help in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to speak one language when you live in another country. So, for example, speaking Spanish when you live in the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm.
think that's much more difficult. And for me, this same strategy worked well with Italian because I lived in Italy just 3 or 4 months, but I learned Italian. And what played a big role also is if the people around you speak English. So in Italy, people don't speak so much English, so it
Mm-hmm.
was very easy to learn Italian. But then when I lived in Sweden, where everybody speaks English, my Swedish is like zero.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely understand you. Like the same problem was here with me. So most of the people they don't speak English here. So yeah, like you learn or you cannot basically live in this
Mhm.
country.
And maybe let me switch to the next question. So you have
Mhm.
been with your future husband now over like 3 years. So what was the most difficult thing, or which challenges did you have to overcome?
Okay, yeah. At the beginning, our relationship was very unsure if it's going to really last because as we met here in Mexico when I was studying here, I had to come back to Czech Republic after my semester. Okay, so I think that one of the biggest challenge was the distance that we had to like live. I was in the Czech Republic, he was in Mexico, and it was like 3 months that then we visited each other, and then another 4 months. So it was also at the beginning of our relationship. So I think the distance to keep really the relationship working with the distance was very difficult at the beginning. And but I think that we were like just so much in love that we were just kind of happy, even with the distance. So at the end it was fine. And there was another like big challenge, and it was this communication, exactly, like to choose the language. And sometimes even if I learned Spanish, I didn't understand like what are you trying to say, or like I didn't understand some kind of like concept of the sentence, or what does it mean, or I just understood like in different way. So the communication definitely. And you may like think that the culture of Czech Republic and Mexico are completely different. That's true, they are different, and still after 3 years there are so many things that surprise me every day. Right now I'm more like acceptable that I accept it, oh that's normal. But before I didn't understand many things, and there were many like small things that I was thinking that it's not right to do it, and I like didn't agree with this. And after time I learned more like to be more patient and like to accept that this is just okay, this is Mexico. you know so I would say the distance, communication, and the cultural differences are the most three difficult things. Yeah.
Mm. So let me take it from the last one, the culture differences. Would you think of some specific what happens? Because I think so many of us is experiencing exactly this kind of perspective. We come from some culture and we are used to certain way of doing things, and we often think that's the best way of doing things.
Mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm,
we are in trouble when suddenly our husband does it differently, and we think no, that's wrong. We should do it as we do it in Czech Republic. So
mm-hmm.
if you can think of some examples and maybe what made it easier for you to accept it.
Okay. Yeah, there were a lot of like examples. I would say that what I experienced most that in Mexico, the culture, the people, they are more talkative. They are more close to each other than in Czech Republic, and all these things means that like they just talk a lot about everything, and it can be
Mhm.
something positive, something negative, something sad, something cool, whatever is it. But they have like the need to talk and to like share everything with everyone. And maybe also in my personality, or maybe Czech more, like we just like more distance and we need like time to get to know someone. So there were a lot of things. For example, when I don't know, I wasn't like speaking so much. So there were like some moments between me and my boyfriend when we could be on a holiday, we were on the beach, and there was like a beautiful sunset. And for me, there was like a perfect moment, very romantic moment. And I just enjoyed this moment, and I wasn't talking. I was just like looking at the sun. And after like 15 minutes, my boyfriend like looked at me and told me like, what's wrong? Like, you don't say anything. Like, why not talking to me? And I was like, nothing is wrong. Like, everything is actually perfect. Like, I'm enjoying the moment. And he said, no, like, you didn't say any word like in 10 minutes. Like, how is this possible? Why you don't share anything like with me? And that kind of like a need to share everything with words, that's what we were struggling a lot, because sometimes also I wanted to give my boyfriend, like, let's say, a space if he needed to be alone, if he had some like issues with the family. I said, okay, if you need, just go. I'm not going to talk to you. I will give you your space. And he actually wanted that I will be there with him and supporting him and talking to him and talking to everyone. And I wasn't like used to do it.
And
So that's something that happens actually even now, but now we know about it, about these differences, so we kind of like understand that it's happening.
hmm.
But before
and
it was difficult.
it's great that you are saying this, because it's a perfect example of the culture difference. And what is kind of surprising for me, that usually it's the other way around, that it's the women who feel they need to talk and the men are quiet. So I know like lots of people have the exact opposite, the
Yeah.
exact situation as you are saying. The one is quiet and is enjoying the moment, and the other one is already thinking, what's wrong, why she is not talking, why he's not talking. So
Mm-hmm.
it's and you explained very nicely that you just now you understand it, and you know that it's there is nothing wrong to be interpreted, or nothing to worry about. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
you are different, you are from different cultures, and you might have also a bit different personalities. So this
Mm-hmm.
was a great example, and I'm sure so many women can relate to this.
Oh yeah. Now my boyfriend, he tells me that still I'm strange when I don't talk, but like it's a joke. Right now it's a joke because
Yeah.
we
So
understand it.
that's kind of the point, I think, when all of us in the relationship with partners from different culture want to be, that we understand it, we can joke about it, and we can be happy about our differences, because I think that's so enriching and so
Hmm.
exciting. And
That's true.
now, yeah, now let me go to the long term, long distance relationships, because I think that's also a big topic.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
a lot of relationships just break up because of the distance. And you mentioned that you were so much in love that you didn't worry about what's going to happen, but was there something which made it easier for you, or what would you say to women who are in the same situation right now?
Like meaning like in the distance relationship, right?
Mhm.
Okay, well, yeah, it's always probably difficult, and I maybe that was the reason why my previous relationship didn't work because of the distance, like, and we just like we didn't know how to manage this. But I think that right now I have quite good tips, because every year I travel to Czech Republic, and usually I go first alone for a few weeks. So we are always like every year separate for some weeks, let's say, but not months anymore. And what helped us a lot is always to have a date, like to know the date when you will see each other. So
Mhm.
if you are in another country than your partner, but you know the date when you are going to see each other, you can't count the days. You can just like look forward to it. Like already the place probably where you are going to meet. You can like plan it already. So like knowing the date, knowing the time when you are going to meet, it's like something so important, because if you don't have it, like basically there are so many chances, there are so many opportunities, so many things that can happen and you don't know. So having the date is the first thing in my opinion, and the second is to talk with each other every day. Yeah. We always, when I'm in the Czech Republic and my boyfriend in Mexico, we talk every day. We usually like buy some like pocket for Skype, so we can like talk by phone, by video chat, by like different types of like communication, you know. So being in contact every single day, it's also like, in my opinion, very important. Yeah, these two things, and it can work.
Yeah, it's exactly, this was my experience when I was with my ex-boyfriend who was from Italy. We had the first 2 or 3 years long distance relationship, and we did it exactly like this. We knew the date. We called each other every day. I had a diary when every day I was writing to him. So it's so much better to focus on one day at a time than thinking, oh, it's going to take 4 months before we meet. So take it step by step. And that leads me to another question, because in my case, we managed to overcome all this distance and all these months without seeing each other. But then actually the things fell apart when we started living together. So how was it? You are in Mexico, and I suppose you stay with your partner, you live together.
We actually, yes, we live together, but we are not living alone. So we live in a quite big house here, and there are other two people which are living with us. So those people, they are our friends. They are more or less our age, a little bit younger, but we know them. So we live together, but actually we are not living as just a couple. And that's one thing that I still after like this time don't know how is it, because yes, we lived together for quite long time. It could be maybe 2 years and something, okay, but we never lived just my boyfriend and I. So that's probably is going to be the next challenge in the future actually. So I don't know how is it actually to live only with him. Right now, when we live with other two people, it's really good. We have a huge house. We have all our like space. I have my office here actually in my room, so I have a lot of like space for me. And when I, for example, I'm busy with my work, sometimes my boyfriend is with our other roomies or our like flatmates here, so he's like not bored, let's say. Okay, but so yeah, I'm curious how it will be when we will live together.
But there are always challenges in the relationship. It's not like that after we overcome our challenges in first 1, 2, or 3 years it will stop. It's a lifelong project, and we will always have different challenges.
Yeah.
So we have challenges when we are apart, then we have challenges when we are together. So it's always like, isn't it, about how to figure it out.
That's true. Yes.
And I wanted to maybe talk a bit about specifically about Mexican men. Like, how are they? If you would compare maybe with the Czech men, is there some really something different about being with a man?
Well, they are late always, but I think that that's not like something that you wouldn't expect, you know. No, but like talking about the personality of a man in Mexico, they are more patient about everything. Yes, and they want everything more quickly. That's what I think. So, for example, or they decide they can get excited for something very quickly, and it can be related to relationships, but it can be also related to family, work, or any other like area of the life. So I think that like generally all Mexicans are like very like excited very quickly about everything, like sometimes too quickly, sometimes like it feels like they don't think about it, you know, before to do some big change. I think that I'm lucky that my boyfriend is like, how is it? Because he is a Mexican, but he is not a typical Mexican, in my opinion, because there are so many other like men around me, but they are different, other Mexicans. Maybe because my boyfriend comes from a family which it's Mexican family. They are all Mexicans, but they are probably more used to foreigners. For example, his brother, his girlfriend of his brother is from Germany, and they live in Germany actually for many years. So my boyfriend, he has been to Europe many times. He knows kind of the European culture. He works with people from Europe, so he knows more or less that we are different. And so he's not like the typical Mexican, but still, yeah, he gets excited for everything very quickly. For example, like after the first year of our relationship, he was starting to talking about to getting married after 1 year. And for me, it was like, this is so quickly, like I was like, no way. After 1 year, I'm not going to do that. So he was like just so excited, like, let's do it right now. And I said, no, we have to wait. We just like don't know each other like enough. And now we are engaged after more or less 3 years. And still I was like, yeah, I'm ready, but I'm not exactly if I'm like completely ready. So they want everything very, very quickly. And I have to like take him back, like don't get so excited. That's the difference. But on the other side, sometimes it's really good. I like it in other areas of life. For example, for job, for like life changes, it's good because he's like, okay, I want to go to Europe, let's go for a holiday. Okay, the next day we buy the flight ticket, and it's like pretty quickly, the planning. So it's an advantage and sometimes disadvantage.
Yeah,
Depends.
exactly. I was gonna head there because to say that there is always the positive and negative, and that my husband, I was actually just recording a video about this topic before our interview. My husband loves to say that all of us Czechs, those he knows, we are all negative, and we are always like seeing the things in a negative way, and that we complain a lot. So I think, for
Yeah.
example, from this perspective, it's great to have like somebody who goes to the action, who sees things like that from the exciting lens. So that's the positive side. But sometimes, as you say, it can be too fast. So that's when the Czech thinking and slowness can be the better option. I love actually this about the intercultural relationship, that we have this completely two different perspectives, and we can get the best from each of them, I think.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, and I think that it's amazing. It's mostly like the advantage, the positive thing. So yeah, I'm like completely okay. Sometimes when like he is too fast, I just tell him like slow down. We have time,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
And I would have so many other questions, but we are running out of time. So maybe we can think of doing interview number 2 at some point. But in towards the end, I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you actually you teach Czech to foreigners. So can you tell us more, and maybe you want to invite our viewers, the women who have also men from abroad, to some of your courses, or how do you do it? So I just would love to learn more about what you are doing.
Okay, yeah. Yes, so I have my own little business, exactly, and I teach Czech to foreigners because this is what I actually studied at university, the Czech language. And actually, like most of my students that I have are people who are learning Czech because they have partner from Czech Republic. So sometimes I've mostly actually men. So yeah, mostly the woman is Czech, and the partner is from a different country. And yes, I teach Czech basically to all different levels. I have like different, let's say, mini courses. Sometimes I have children, sometimes I have adults, and sometimes I have like mini groups of people. And I really love this job because I can maybe share my culture, my language, and I'm really happy if someone wants to learn Czech. For me, if someone wants to learn Czech, it's like, oh my God, really? You want to learn Czech? So it's so exciting. And yes, well, I have my own website, which is basically my name, annarubešova.com,
I will
where
put it under the video, so
yeah.
you will find it
Yes.
in the comments below.
Exactly. And I offer Czech classes, which are one by one. So it's like individual classes. That's one thing I do definitely. And then also I offer some online courses. For example, right now I have a challenge for foreigners who are learning the Czech grammar, because maybe you know the Czech cases are very complicated. So I have like courses for grammar. I also offer different like ebooks and like online materials for my students. So everything I have on my website. My website is in Czech and also in English for those who have already like depending on the level, so what you need. And so if you want, you can check it, and I will be happy if someone wants to like maybe join with me for the Czech learning journey, which I completely understand and it's difficult. And I know it from my personal experience. Like, as I said, my boyfriend, I am a Czech teacher. So you would maybe think that why my boyfriend is not speaking Czech, or why I don't teach him Czech. But most of my students, they tell me the same thing. And I can confirm from my experience that it's not possible to teach your partner Czech. It's not
Yeah,
possible.
I
So
completely agree. Yeah.
you need another person for this. So I always like ask, okay, are you like maybe practicing the Czech with your partner? And they say, well, we tried, but it never worked, because usually the people, they have like already the language when they communicate. So they always need like extra person, like someone different. And I can confirm it's working only like that. In my case, even I'm a teacher, I cannot teach my boyfriend. I tried, but no.
I think this rule applies to everything because I don't know any example of a partner or husband and wife who would actually learn something from each other, because we always say the husband or the wife is the worst teacher. Like the typical example of
Yeah.
driving, I can remember, think of my parents, how my father was trying to teach my mother driving, and it ended up one day when he was telling her, turn left, and she turned right into the wall of cemetery. That was the last time she was driving. Uh, my husband also is not teaching me his language, Bemba, and he is a dance teacher. And do you think I can dance? Impossible.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
that's the same. Yeah, I didn't learn Spanish from my boyfriend. I had so many other teachers that helped me. And yeah, so I what that's what I do, and I'm really happy because most of my people, and I have students from different countries, like English speaking people, but also with different mother tongue, like with Russian, with Italian, with Spanish, with German. So they have different mother tongue, but all of them are able, if they are highly motivated and if they want, they are able to learn Czech. So even the Czech language is considered something that's like very difficult language. It's not more difficult than English or Spanish or Italian or any other. It's just different way how we speak. But I know that it's possible to learn it because all my students after some time are able to speak in Czech. So I'm sure that it's possible.
yeah. And I love that you mentioned the commitment to learn, because lots of us women who have a partner from abroad, we would love them to learn our language. And many of us, we just push for it, and we don't really consider, do they really need to know in the Czech or any other language like which we speak? Like
Mm-hmm.
in our case, it would be, does my partner really needs to speak Czech, or is it just
Mm-hmm.
something I want for him and he's not interested? So it's
Yeah,
really important, like not to force the partner, because
exactly.
I think when they want to learn, they will learn. And maybe one day my husband will sign up for one of your courses. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us about your life in Mexico, about your husband to be, and about the great work you are doing. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope we will still do continuation because it
Mm-hmm.
was very interesting. So thank you so much, and I will share Anna's website under the video. So if you have a partner from abroad who would love to learn Czech, she's the person to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
and have a
much.
great day and
Mm-hmm.
great morning in Mexico.
Okay, thank you very much. It was very nice to talk to you, and I'm really happy that I could share a little bit of my experience. And I hope that we will continue, like maybe working together or seeing each other. And thank you very much.
I'm sure we will have a great day.